He was always the smallest man in every room. Asterisk, not because of his confidence, but because of his height. People noticed it before they noticed his name. Every time he entered a place, eyes would travel from his head to his feet, and then back to each other with silent laughter. He could feel it. He always did. Asterisk, his name was Arin. Asterisk, a man who never asked for sympathy, yet life gave him plenty of reasons to break. Asterisk, he was short, yes, but his dreams were tall enough to touch the sky. Asterisk, he grew up in a world that measured worth by inches and respect by appearance. Asterisk, and every inch he lacked became another reason for the world to underestimate him. Asterisk, in school, teachers loved his answers, but classmates mocked his height. Asterisk, in college, his knowledge was vast, but his presence was always belittled. Asterisk, he used to sit in the back, not because he wanted to hide, but because every time he stood among them, someone whispered something that crushed his spirit. Asterisk, he laughed it off, pretending it never hurt, but inside, it always did. Asterisk, one day, during a college presentation, a tall boy named Arin decided to humiliate him in front of everyone. Asterisk, Arin was the definition of arrogance. Asterisk, broad shoulders, loud laugh, and a cruel tongue that enjoyed cutting others down. Asterisk, when Arin stood on stage to speak, Arin interrupted him. Asterisk, he shouted from the back, asking if they should bring a stool so the audience could see him properly. Laughter exploded in the room, and in that moment, Arin stood frozen. He wanted to vanish. He wanted the earth to swallow him, but he didn't. He took a breath, steadied his heart, and continued his speech. Asterisk, not for them, but for himself. Asterisk, he knew the laughter would fade one day, but his determination must never fade. Asterisk, that night, he sat alone in his room, staring at the ceiling. Asterisk, his heart was heavy, but his eyes didn't cry. Asterisk, because somewhere deep inside, a fire was born. Asterisk, he whispered to himself that one day, the same people who laughed at his height would look up to him for his greatness. That asterisk, that day, he made a promise to his pain. Asterisk, he would rise. Quietly but powerfully. Years passed. While Arin partied, Arin worked. While others mocked him, he studied. While people were chasing attention, he was chasing excellence. Asterisk, he took every insult as fuel. Asterisk, every humiliation became a stone in the foundation of his empire. Asterisk, he worked as an intern in a small company, often ignored, often underestimated, but what others failed to see was that behind that calm face was a storm of purpose. Arin learned. Asterisk, he learned about business, about leadership, about how to turn weakness into power. Asterisk, he read books when others scrolled through distractions. Asterisk, he practiced speaking when nobody was listening. Asterisk, he sharpened every skill until his small figure carried an aura larger than any height could measure. Asterisk, one day, the company he worked for faced a crisis. Asterisk, they lost investors, clients pulled out, and everyone was panicking. Asterisk, the CEO called for ideas, but the big voices in the room stayed silent. Asterisk, then Arin stood up. People turned and almost smirked. They were not expecting wisdom from someone they once called small. Asterisk, but when he spoke, the room fell silent. Every word he said carried weight. Every idea he offered came with clarity. Asterisk, he presented a plan that not only saved the company but brought in new investors within months. Asterisk, soon, the CEO promoted him to project head. Asterisk, and from there, his rise began. Asterisk, step by step, quietly, efficiently, and fairlessly. Asterisk, he became a man people respected not because of his height, but because of his power. And then came the day the universe decided to balance the scales. Years later, Arin founded his own company. Asterisk, it started small but grew into one of the leading firms in the city. Asterisk, he hired hundreds of employees, built offices across countries, and became a name people couldn't ignore. Asterisk, his photos appeared in magazines, his speeches inspired thousands, and his story became a symbol of self-belief. Asterisk, and then one morning, as fate would have it, he received a resume. It was from Arin, the same man who once laughed at him. Asterisk, now jobless, desperate, and broken by life's lessons. Arin was applying for a position at Arin's company. Asterisk, Arin stared at the name for a long time. Asterisk, the memories came flooding back. The humiliation, the laughter, the pain. He smiled, not a smile of revenge, but a quiet smile of realization. The circle was complete. When Arin entered the interview room, he didn't recognize Arin at first. Asterisk, he saw a confident man sitting at the head of the table. Only when Arin said his name did Arin freeze. His eyes widened, his heart dropped, and all those years of arrogance collapsed into shame. Asterisk, he lowered his head and whispered an apology. Arin didn't respond with anger. Asterisk, he simply said, "You laughed at my height once, but today you kneel before it." Asterisk, not because I grew taller, but because I grew stronger. Asterisk, Arin broke down, unable to meet his eyes. Life had given him the same pain he once gave others. He had mocked someone's appearance, but fate made him taste humiliation deeper than words. Asterisk, Arin offered him a seat, not as an act of kindness, but as a lesson. Asterisk, because true power isn't in revenge. It is in proving that you never needed it. The room was silent. Only the sound of Ryan's trembling voice filled the space as he thanked Arin. Asterisk, he was hired, not because Arin wanted to humiliate him, but because he wanted to teach him, to show that the smallest people often have the biggest hearts. As months passed, Ryan became one of Arin's most dedicated employees. Asterisk, he worked with humility, learned from his mistakes, and respected every person regardless of size or status. Asterisk, he often told others in the company how arrogance destroys, and how one act of mockery can haunt a lifetime. Asterisk, he spoke about the man he once laughed at, who later became his leader. Asterisk, Arin, on the other hand, kept growing, not just in success, but in spirit. Asterisk, he built schools for underprivileged children, donated to hospitals, and started programs for people with physical insecurities. Asterisk, he wanted to create a world where nobody felt it small because of how they looked. Asterisk, every success he achieved was a victory for everyone who had ever been laughed at. Asterisk, in interviews, journalists often asked him what motivated him the most. Asterisk, he always said, it was not love, not money, not fame. It was laughter. The laughter that once broke me became the echo that pushed me to rise. Asterisk, Arin's life became a testament to the power of silence, patience, and resilience. Asterisk, he proved that no insult is permanent, no rejection defines you, and no mockery can stop you unless you let it. Asterisk, he became an example for millions who were told they were not enough. Asterisk, because sometimes, the people who are laughed at become the ones everyone looks up to. Asterisk, and the ones who laughed are left, remembering the sound of their own cruelty. Asterisk, years later, Ryan and Arin stood side by side at a conference. Asterisk, Arin was being awarded Entrepreneur of the Year. Asterisk, the audience applauded as he walked to the stage. Asterisk, Ryan clapped too, tears in his eyes, knowing that he had once been the reason behind Arin's pain, but was now a witness to his glory. Asterisk, when Arin spoke on stage, his voice was calm but powerful. Asterisk, he said that people measure height in inches, but life measures greatness in courage. Asterisk, that what truly matters is not how tall you stand, but how high you rise when life pushes you down. The crowd erupted in applause. Rayan stood there, overwhelmed, realizing how fate had written the perfect story of humility. Asterisk, after the ceremony, Rayan approached Arin and thanked him again for the job, for the lesson, and for not taking revenge. Asterisk, Arin smiled and said softly, the day I forgave you, I became taller than any man could ever be. Asterisk, and that was it. Asterisk, a story that began with laughter, ended with respect. Asterisk, a man who was mocked for his height became the one everyone admired. Asterisk, and the one who laughed learned that life never forgets. Asterisk, it simply waits for the right time to return the echo. Asterisk, Arin. Story spread everywhere. Asterisk, students studied it, entrepreneurs quoted it, and millions of short men around the world felt proud of who they were. Asterisk, they realized that strength is not in size, but in the will to rise. Asterisk, because there comes a day when the same people who laughed at you stand in awe of you. Asterisk, and that day, you understand you never needed to be taller. You just needed to stand firm. Asterisk, Arin continued to build his empire with grace. Asterisk, he surrounded himself with humble souls and reminded them that success without kindness is failure in disguise. Asterisk, he taught that the pain you carry can either destroy you or define you. Asterisk, he chose to let it define him. Asterisk, every morning, he looked at the mirror, smiled at the reflection that once felt small, and whispered to himself, you did it. You proved that destiny bows to those who never give up, and somewhere deep inside, he thanked every person who laughed at him. Asterisk, because without them, he might never have found his fire. Asterisk, the world keeps spinning. People keep judging, but legends like Arin remind us that laughter fades, and legacy remains. Asterisk, he lived with quiet pride, not shouting his success, but walking with the peace of a man who had turned pain into power. Asterisk, and as for Ray, he became one of Arin's closest friends. Asterisk, they shared stories, dreams, and memories of a past that shaped them. Both Asterisk Rayhan learned that no man deserves to be measured by what he cannot change. Asterisk and Arin learned that forgiveness is the final height of greatness, so if the world ever laughs at your difference, remember Arin